Hello, everybody. Happy new moon. So, I'm going to start doing lives for the new moon and full moon and just give like a short talk on some of the energies and what's going on in the chart a little bit more because usually I do the video a few days before the new moon actually hits. And then once we arrive at the new moon or the full moons, I like to tap in again and see, how is it feeling? How's it playing out for everybody? So, as you might have seen the video by now that I did of the astrology and the tarot and the predictions for everybody, I still feel the overarching theme is a lot of communications stuff. Um, it's been interesting to hear what's going on in people's lives when they come for readings and to see that there's a lot of sort of grappling with what to say and when to say it and how to say it to people close to them or people that they work with. And having to adjust yourself, adjust your sails, and adapt to the person that you're speaking with. So sometimes, you get, if you read books or you see a therapist on good communication, it's going to give a lot of tips and tricks of how to approach healthy communication. And a lot of those tools do work. But sometimes, or a lot of the time, you can't just sort of put a cookie cutter on life and, every time, let's say you set a boundary, if you say it in the same way to different people, you're going to get a multitude of reactions. So sometimes it's really about, using your empathy and your intuition about, well, what part of this healthy communication style or tips or tricks will work with this particular person. I've seen a lot of couples come lately. People asking about their couple. And some of them have had maybe communication breakdown. Nothing dramatic, but just not feeling as close, feeling drifted apart a little. Maybe somebody feels somebody's being dismissive and sometimes, it's just that their communication style is not jiving or their timing is off. Sometimes it's a matter of like breaking it down into smaller bits. Because if you start to feel that you're not close to somebody that you were close to, it's painful and it's emotional and it's hard to work through all of that. And you can't, a lot of the time people might be inclined to say, well, I just feel like, I need you to be more open. But that might be confusing to the person. Maybe they think they are. Maybe they don't think they're withholding or hiding anything. So what do you mean more open? Like they don't understand, what do you want from me exactly? So if you break things down for that person into something a little more clear and concrete, like, when I share my day, I'd really like it if we could be sitting down without any TV or telephones, just so that we really hear each other. If we could just do that over breakfast, that'd be great. Something like that. That's pretty clear then to the person. Oh, okay, at breakfast, let's put the phone down and let's just talk instead of looking at the phone or answering text messages in the middle of what somebody's sharing, or because I think to me, we're losing our intimacy skills in society. And these are intimacy skills. Being fully present and listening to somebody is super, super important. And again, like if we've all been sort of distracted or watching too much TV, video games, scrolling, there's lots of people have a hard time sitting down, listening and paying attention. There's lots of people have trouble with eye contact. So breaking down the communication into little parts that are manageable to bring you more understanding, more intimacy, closer to people again is really important. So, for example, I had one customer tell me that um, she shared an important dream that she had with her husband, and he was like, "That's weird," and then just got up and went on with the day. So then she feels, like he doesn't care, which isn't necessarily the case. Sometimes maybe the person is also having dreams and they feel like it's too vulnerable to talk about the dreams. So they just go, "Oh, well, that's weird." And they're deflecting because it's triggering them. It doesn't always mean that they don't care about your dream. So if you know that, let's say you had an important dream and you really need it to be heard, you have to pick a good timing and tell them, "I really need you to hear my dream. It was really important." When do you think is a good time that we could sit down or lie down and I could share it with you? I think that that's already sometimes for some people like hard to say because we didn't grow up asking for what we want. A lot of us really didn't. We have to learn these skills. And it does seem awkward maybe at the beginning if you didn't grow up this way, but it makes such a difference. Imagine something that was a misunderstanding in your life, at work or family or whatever, where you think back and go, "I wish they would have just told me this," or "I wish they would have just asked me," or "I wish they would have just said, hey, this is bugging me," because then I would have done something, or I would have altered it, I would have corrected it, I would have talked to them, and nobody did. And so you went on doing what you do, and they went on doing what they do, and it just created more of a rift because no one's communicating. So I'm really seeing this as a strong theme this new moon, is that people have to really zone in and understand who am I talking to? What are they going to respond to? So that you have a success with your communication. Sometimes other clients are dealing with people that it's not worth even communicating with because there's so much toxicity. So in that case, you withdraw. You withdraw communication, or you become much more formal to protect yourself and still be clear. Communication is such a broad word. It's, sometimes you're going to need to use it to defend yourself. Sometimes you're going to need it to open your heart more. It's both. So it's constant work, right, in our lives to go, this thing needs to be addressed. This thing's bothering me. This thing I want to open up. This thing I need to protect myself. This thing I need to negotiate. How you speak to people and knowing who you're talking to and being clear is going to go a long way to make your life flow better and feel easier with your relationships on any level. Just like you want to be spoken to and informed and by people close to you. So there's just so much going on because the new moon and the sun are in Virgo. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is the communication planet. Also, Mars is in Gemini, and it's going to stay there for many months, which is rare. Usually Mars would breeze through in about 6 weeks and then change sign. But this time it's going to last from August 24th up to January 12th or so. So we're talking almost like 4 months. So this means it's an extended lesson in communication, because Mars and Gemini can be very good at adapting to who they're with, can be very chameleon-like and charming, can also be unfortunately duplicitous sometimes, because Mars and Gemini means the way you go about getting what you want in life, the way you go about getting what you need and enacting your will, it's Mars, is by shifting and adapting and shape shifting and changing yourself around to fit the situation. That's how you get what you want. So sometimes it's innocently done. Sometimes a person, let's say it's a person that has Mars and Gemini in their chart. Sometimes maybe they act one way around one crowd and they act another way around another crowd. And then people could watch them in both situations and go, well, who are you? Which is the real you? Because you're acting different with different people. Now, some people are going to be doing that because they're good at reading the energy. They're good at feeling out who they're speaking with, and they will adapt to who they're with because Mars and Gemini wants to have a good rapport. They want to have a fun, mentally stimulating rapport with somebody. So they will adapt to pull out what subjects they know, show that they are bright and clever, show that they're up to date on things. And they've got like a treasure trove of like tons of tidbits that help create that rapport. And they're very agile with that. So that's what usually they're doing. They're trying to just adapt and create a rapport with them. And then if they're in a different crowd, they just they're going to need to pull out a different set of things to have rapport with another person. It doesn't mean that that person is being duplicitous if they're different in different crowds. So we might see a lot of that with Mars and Gemini. You might feel compelled to do that yourself, or you might notice other people doing that. There's a big difference between somebody who's, trying to adapt and have a smooth conversation and a person who is outright telling one story here and one story there and has an agenda. And definitely I've seen that cropping up in people's lives and readings right now too. We do have to keep a watch when there's Mars and Gemini, that you're not being schmoozed and charmed into things. And that whether that's dating, whether that's signing on the dotted line for something, the charm factor is really high with the Mars and Gemini time. The ability to chat and gaslight and build up excitement and go, oh yeah, I feel so close to this person, and then they're different somewhere down the road. You have to watch a lot with Mars and Gemini. Over time, you have to see consistency over time to know for sure. So again, if you're clear in who you're speaking to and how, and you're clear with your tasks, what you're asking for, with your limits on stuff, that protects you from any of the rest of the downside of Mars and Gemini. So if I am walking into a new job and everybody's highly charming and I'm like, wow, this place is great, like I can let my guard down, these people might even be friends, and that all happens very quickly. We got to be careful with Mars and Gemini because there's a Jekyll and Hyde there somewhere. Maybe all of a sudden you're not included. Everything was fine for 6 weeks, and then all of a sudden, what happened? I was just left out of something. They're not talking to me. They're not open as much. They're not as attentive. What's going on? What did I do? And you can drive yourself nuts wondering what you did. And you might not have done anything. It's just the nature of Gemini planets to be dual, hot and cold, on and off. So it's tough with Gemini planets that way. It takes a long time to see what's the high range, what's the low range of this person. What's the middle ground? Where do you adjust yourself with your expectations of that relationship? If you adjust to the low one, it's not real. If you adjust to the high one, it's not consistent either. It's somewhere in the middle, and it's hard to find that with Gemini sometimes. Whether that's Sun in Gemini, Moon, Venus. If anyone has a really strong Gemini, they're good at this. They're good at connecting initially. They're good at rapport. They're good at charm. They're good at teaching, explaining, They're great for networking and PR. Once you get a little closer, you might see the other side where they can withdraw on you and recoil on you, and then they come back and then they're a little more inconsistent. So you've got to give it time. But let's just say, for example, that example that I just gave, I go into a new place, I've got a new job, everyone's charming, I'm getting along with everyone, I feel so welcome, I feel like, wow, these could be friends. I let down my guard. And then all of a sudden, like I said, you're left out. Things change. People are suddenly not as present, and you wonder what the heck happened. So how would you protect yourself in that? Because how would you know until you're there? You don't know. You don't know until you see the other side, that there was another side sometimes. So to me, only way to protect yourself from getting hurt and still being open to a situation is if you walk in knowing more clearly what your needs are and communicating that. So, for example, you get this rush of acceptance and pleasure and, chit chat and jokes and whatever's going on at the beginning with all that Gemini energy. Feels like a honeymoon phase. And then if you start to bond and you feel like this isn't mutual, that's the point where you can say to yourself, about yourself, okay, I am a person that needs consistency in order to really emotionally bond any further. So if you start to see inconsistencies that are hurting you or bothering you, you can pull back a little bit and enjoy them when they're in a good mood, but not give so much so quickly. And you can say, if they ask you, oh, how come, you also seem to like you've pulled back, or you're different, or is everything all right? You can just communicate like, I feel really close to you guys and I open my heart, and it feels like it's not always mutual all the time. I'm not sure why. And that's okay, but that's why I'm an open person and I need to just protect my heart a little bit here. That would be something you could communicate. Maybe not at work. I'm giving a work example that would be pretty unlikely, actually. But you could do that with groups of friends. You can do that with clubs or things that you join. And it's always going to be tricky with communication. It's always so changeable and fluid and emotional for everyone. We don't know all the time how somebody's mood that day, combined with one or two things you said, could affect them unintentionally or intentionally. But when we're talking about people that are in your life that you are closer to and want to be closer to, I think it's worth the risk to do your best and communicate what you need and how you feel. Often, if you grew up with a lack of communication or healthy boundaries in the family, this is going to be something that you're working on all your life. And just because your communication is clear doesn't guarantee you get the results that you want either. You might be saying things just absolutely textbook perfect, therapists would applaud the way you dealt with something, and you still might not get an answer, or you still might get pushback or hostility. And that's because that's where the other person is at. And if you're clear that you have said something in a positive or clear, proactive way, and you've said it to the best of your ability, in a way that you think that person will understand it, and they still give you a hassle or pushback, that's on them. That's really on them. I'll just share one little anecdote of mine that's come up this new moon. I was walking around where I live, and I saw a guy that I used to sort of date about 5 years ago. I saw him outside with a moving truck. And I had a feeling he was going to move anyway, just psychically. I would see him around, and I just got that vibe that he was going to move at some point. And so there it was. There he is with the moving truck. So I see him about 50 feet away with the moving truck, and I waved hello, and he looked terrified, and he went back into his apartment. Okay. So that reaction's not on me. There's nothing wrong with waving to somebody. And then the next day I was walking on the same street, and there he was again outside. And I stopped and I said, "Congratulations on your move." And he was like, "Huh?" Like playing dumb. And I said, "Yeah, I saw you yesterday with the moving truck. I waved hello. So congratulations on your move." He's like, "I am?" Like still playing dumb. What is wrong with this dude? Because he's intelligent. He's just playing games. He's playing games because he doesn't want me to know, doesn't want people to know or something. I don't know, whatever. But it's on him is my point. Because I just saw you yesterday. I just witnessed you with the truck. I just waved. So that's on him, but it's always a lesson to me to remember, like, who are you speaking to? Because sometimes after 5 years, you move on. I had forgotten how prickly and defensive he was. And so just being aware of his move without him knowing, it wasn't just a friendly wish to him. It was some sort of like, he took it like a violation or something. Which is, anyway, this is why this didn't last very long. But just to say, I had my own little communication mishap happen around this new moon, where there was just game playing and stepping back, going, right, remember who this person is when you speak to them. Like if I wanted to, I could adjust my tone to match his energy, but then it would be so low that it wouldn't be me anymore. And that was part of my lesson too, because I'm a friendly, outgoing person, and if you're moving and I see you with the truck, it's pretty transparent, and I expect people to be transparent. Those are my values. And when I get somebody who wants to be covert about something that's obvious, I'm not going there anymore. Those are my boundaries. So I allowed myself to be myself, even if it didn't click the way it would have been nice had he said, "Thanks. That's it. Wave, say thanks. Good luck to you. Great. Bye." That's it. But this person is not able to have a simple, happy interaction like that. So you may have something like this come up during this new moon. You might notice it over the fall with Mars and Gemini. We're in Virgo season, so Mercury is accented. And I'm just going to check if it's retrograding soon as well, or if there's a retrograde over the fall, because that's another time where we have to be extra careful of things like that. And we'll just see Mercury retrograde. 2022, September 9th. So it's coming up. September 9th to October 1st, Mercury is retrograding. All right. It'll be retrograding in the sign of Libra then. So September 9th to October 1st, again, another period where we have to be a little extra careful what we say, when, to who, what language. It will be retrograde in Libra, which makes people want to be even more like smoothing things out, no conflicts, negotiative, is that a word? Yeah. Diplomatic, also sometimes very surface, whitewashing things. So with Mars in Gemini and Mercury retrograde in Libra, I would say, for those of you who are intuitive, read beneath the words, read underneath the words. There'll be a lot of like, it's fine, when it isn't going on. So if you would like to join me on Zoom, then please just go to the link to my Patreon in the description section here, or you can just Google Catherine River Rain on Patreon. You'll need to join my membership, that's the Vibes community, and then you can come on to the live Zoom where we're going to continue the discussion. I'm going to listen to your stories as well if any of this has stimulated you. And I will give some readings and some intuitive feedback about these communication kerfuffles if you want to bring them up. I will help everybody through it. So I'm going to sign off for now. I hope you join me on Zoom, and I hope you join me for my full moon live. And any feedback is appreciated. If you'd like to see something that if you have suggestions for what you'd like, suggestions for what you don't like, I'm wide open right now. So happy new moon, everybody. Have a great day.